WTF, WTF.
Hello, I'm Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic.com. You're my sexual wank pheasants, and welcome to all of the WTF moments from last night's WWE Raw. A WWE Raw where we learnt that Bobby Lashley had a horrible, horrible childhood, and his sisters, to a woman, should all go to hell. And we kick things off with Kurt Angle, who claims that he's very proud to have been a part of the WWE Universe for almost 20 years. So he signed in August of 1998, he then left in August of 2006. I guess you could say he re-signed in January of 2017 when he was named as part of the WWE Hall of Fame, and now we're 16 months on from that, and you add all that together and you get nowhere near 20 years. Kurt, you were the bastard son to WWE that Jason Jordan was for so long, for 11 long years. What is it with you and family trees and cutting ties with certain branches and papering over the cracks like nothing's the matter? And next up we have Jonathan Coachman, who claims that he doesn't think he's seen a man the size of Braun Strowman take part in Money in the Bank ladder matches or ladder matches in WWE in general. Let's just stick to the Money in the Bank ladder match here. We've seen Kane in there. He held the briefcase, of course, for a short period of time. Then we've got the likes of Mark Henry. Lord Tensai was in one. Big Show. Jonathan Coachman, where do you want me to stop? You're wrong. So next up we have Braun Strowman, and the moment where he claimed that he knocked down a big old tree with a massive old tree house inside of that tree, and then inside of that tree house were all of his pals, and I'm very skeptical. First of all, I tried to find local news reports of that incident and I couldn't find anything. And second of all, trees are really hard. I don't think Braun could pick one of those things up unless, of course, WWE were there with all their production values and fancy camera angles. But of course, the worst thing of all is that when Braun Strowman admitted that he murdered several children, the crowd cheered. Now I'm starting to think that Jonathan Coachman doesn't watch wrestling, bro, because when Jonathan Coachman was speaking about Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens tried to get his fine little arse in the Money Back ladder match, he claimed that Kevin Owens needs to convince Kurt Angle, because Kurt Angle apparently makes all of the calls and decisions on Monday Night Raw. Now, of course, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were signed to Monday Night Raw over Kurt Angle's head by Mrs. Lady Balls herself. Now, as ill as this makes me feel, Kevin Owens could just go straight over Kurt Angle's head and go straight to Stephanie McMahon, and there's no doubt about it, she would put him in that match because she proved by signing to Monday Night Raw that she fancies him very much. Of course she does. Kevin Owens tried to murder Vince McMahon, yet Stephanie didn't mind. After all, a knackered arm doesn't stop a mouth wagging.
Made a grave mistake, Corey.
Corey Graves, it was said a million times around WrestleMania season, little Nicholas was 10 years old and you claimed he was 9. Of course, as we all know, because we're humans, we're functioning brains, 10 is one more than 9. Here is Mike Rome and Seth Rollins. Here is Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Here is Roman Reigns with Mike Rome. Who the hell hacked off Mike Rome's legs? Or is the Tomspiracy spreading? Roman Reigns claims that he's made a career of silencing the hate, which proves he's an actual dog. Now, as we all know, dogs can only hear really high-pitched noises, so when the big dog walks out on Monday Night Raw and is greeted by a chorus of boos, he presumably thinks that he is greeted by a wall of silence. That poor, naive little lamb. Then we have the big dog claiming he's going to take back something that is rightfully his. Riddle me this, Roman, how on earth do you take back something that you've never ever owned in the first place? Now, WWE, are us fans really supposed to care about that kind of thing? Brag about that stuff in the boardroom to your heart's content, but for God's sake, Devon, shove it in our faces 24 hours after a show of yours has been universally numptied. Backlash 2018 was a numpty. Pass it on. Knobheads in the crowd at last night's Raw. There's a fantastic women's match going on in the ring, yet you're all turned around, facing the wrong way and chatting you deserve it to a couple who apparently got engaged. Get engaged during some crap, man, not while there's something good going on. Have some bloody respect, you numpties. Maggle, 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 maggle. Here's a direct quote from Maggle Cole. I'm going to read this out just to make sure I do not get it wrong. It was Carmella last year on 2 different occasions that climbed up. Nope, never forget. And sticking with Maggle, next we have the moment where he was screaming that Bayley is doing the right thing when Bayley came down the ring to help out Sasha Banks, and I believe that's all kinds of Pete Tong wrong. First of all, Sasha Banks was a dick to Bayley for a very long time, so Bayley has every single right in the world to pie her the piss off. But why Bayley was out there on Raw last night when her and Sasha were arguing once again at Backlash 24 hours before this week's Raw confused the piss out of me. This storyline is more confusing than bloody algebra. What's Sasha going for there? Yes, Ember Moon delivering an eclipse to 2 people at one time looked bloody lovely, but Sasha Banks never ever does that, so that eclipse looked bloody contrived AF, and I do not like contrived AF.
Made a grave mistake, Corey.
Here's a direct quote from Corey Graves. There's far more to Bobby Lashley than meets the eye. Give over, man. We're a month into his second run with the company, and so far it's been the same story as his first run with the company. We've got a massive, athletic, impressive, sweaty man, but with no crack whatsoever, which means, of course, we need to bring that back. New era. Say old pal. I'm over the moon, she says. It's time to bring back a relic from the dead, because that quote from Ember Moon made me want to push my fingers into my eyes. Lashley quickly rose to superstardom in WWE, quickly becoming one of the most popular superstars. Lies. And reaching the pinnacle of achievement in WWE by headlining WrestleMania. Lies. Now, Jesus Christ, I have no idea what WWE were trying to do with this interview with Bobby Lashley, but all it revealed is that Bobby Lashley is a tortured soul, and I feel really sorry for him. Get this right, Bobby Lashley's sisters, when he was a child, of course, would tie him up and leave him in the woods for hours. Domestic abuse, arrest them now. Torture, arrest them now. Abandonment, arrest them now. Get this right, Bobby Lashley's older sister Kathy would chase him around with a broom. Domestic abuse, arrest that woman now. Bobby would then try to have some banter with his sister Kathy by telling her that she should hop on that broom and take off, but then I quote from this really perplexed interview from last night's Raw, that would really fuel her, and she chased me all around and tried to kill me with it. Attempted murder, arrest her now. And then, yes, there's more to this interview. Bobby Lashley's sister would have a security towel. She would take the security towel to school. The school bullies would take that towel off her. So Bobby went down to the school, got the towel off that bully, and shoved the towel down the bully's throat. No, Bobby wouldn't give that towel back to his sister. He made damn fine well sure that she would never see that towel again, and in the process, bullied the school bully. Be a star, Bobby, Bobby, Bobby. And finally, with this really weird interview, we have the revelation that Bobby's third sister, I didn't quite catch her name, left a scar on Bobby's face for the rest of his bloody life. What kind of a messed up bunch of siblings were they, and what made things worse is at the very end of the interview, Bobby mentioned his sister name by name by name, and then followed that up by saying he loved them, which lead me to believe he's part of the bloody Manson family. After a childhood of what sounded like some pretty hefty abuse, Bobby Lashley has been brainwashed by his bastard sisters. Somebody, please just tell me what they were trying to do, because I really can't work it out. After last night's show, I have arrived at the conclusion that Jonathan Coachman is trying to get fired from his role as a commentator on Monday Night Raw, because after Chad Gable did something to Jinder Mahal that apparently in the NFL or something will result in a suspension from next season. I didn't know what was going on. American football's rubbish. It's rugby for numpties. Anyway, Corey Graves rightfully had a go at Jonathan Coachman for a completely irrelevant analogy, but Jonathan Coachman replies, cross promotion. Good job, your bosses, in setting up a rival football league to the NFL from a few years' time, isn't it, Coachman? You definitely don't want to be doing cross promotion with the boss's competition. Easy for me to say. So Zack Ryder walks into Kurt Angle's office, because apparently he's the hometown hero, despite the fact he got zero response and asked Kurt Angle to get added into the Money in the Bank picture. Kurt Angle's about to tell him no before Jinder Mahal walks in. Jinder Mahal requests to be added to the triple threat later on the night, and Kurt Angle replies, woo woo woo, no bro, and this gets a positive response from Zack Ryder, who replies, that's sick bro, or whatever the kids say these days. Zack, you didn't get what you were looking for, man, you plum, why aren't you sad? So this is the first time I've ever seen Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler's entrance together, and it is now apparent why they are a team. And before you say anything, I was on holiday 2 weeks ago, so missed their entrance debut. They just needed someone to finally make that record scratch at the start of Dolph Ziggler's theme make sense, and Drew McIntyre was the one they picked. Good one. So Elias mentions Bobby Roode's name, the crowd boo. Elias then goes on to say that since we're in Long Island, it's no surprise that the people of Long Island worship talentless, boring hacks. Elias then goes on to speak about Bobby Roode once again, as if the people of Long Island were worshipping a talentless, boring hack like Bobby Roode. They booed Elias. They're with you. They don't like Bobby Roode. Do not tell me for 1 second you're a dog as well who can't recognise low-pitched noises. Full transparency, I've started to write something down about Jonathan Coachman and not finished it, so I don't know what I'm writing about Jonathan Coachman. After Elias's promo, he did something bad. That's what it is. Yeah. Moving on now to Seth Rollins. In the moment, he claimed that if there's one thing to learn from The Miz, it's how not to be a champion. Hang on there, pal. We've got a case of the WWE's memory loss. Go back to 2015 when you yourself were a chicken poo little dick champion, and you'd be able to learn from yourself how not to be a champion. Leave Miz alone, man, will you? Ooh. Hey, look, it's Mojo Jojo. So it turns out we do not know the new name of Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas's tag team, but since it did this once again, it's very much clear to me. All of this hang, it's clear to me that their new name has to be the Hager Bombs, which has nothing to do with Jaeger bombs. It's all to do with 5-star wrestling legend Jake Hager. What a man. And next up we have Maggle Cole claiming that his life has just turned into being attacked by a 3-year-old and a bald guy on Twitter. Don't be so kind about yourself, Maggle. We all know that every single second of the day you're getting attacked by all 4 corners of the globe because of the nonsense that spills out your mouth on a weekly basis. No brotherly love, Maggle says. I don't see Bruce anywhere, Maggle, you absolute first-grade numpty. This isn't the first time that Bray and Bo have done the graps on a televised WWE show, you know, because 2 years ago on Monday Night Raw, the Social Outcast took on all 4 members of the Wyatt family in a match without a winner. Many people tweeted me saying this was the first time they'd ever been televised in a match together, and they were wrong, so good luck to them. Natalia, who has never won Money in the Bank, claims that she knows what it takes to win Money in the Bank. You don't, do you?
Made a grave mistake, Corey.
Corey, you bloody liar. You claim your boy Finn Balor walked up to you early in the day, said pound for pound he's the best around. If you think he's extraordinary without a ladder in the ring, wait till you can see what he can do when there is a ladder in the ring. Why wait? Surely your boy Finn Balor knows what happened at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 1 because he was in that ladder match with Kevin Owens. Corey, why are you lying to us? Finn doesn't like you. You've just made this story up, haven't you? You're a lonely bastard. I don't know why I'm doing this. Sami Zayn, dry humping a ladder. Sami no shame. It rhymes with Zayn. Oh my tits, Booker T is back next week, which means, of course, it's going to be tea time. Sami Zayn spitting several rows into the crowd. Spitty Zayn, because they both start with S. Once more, here's a direct quote from Maggle Cole I'm going to read out just to make sure that I don't get it wrong. By the time we get to the O2 in London next week, one of these 3 men will have qualified. Oh, thank God for that. I would have hoped that would have happened and that match still wouldn't be going on 7 days on from now or yesterday. And we end this WTF Moments with the way Raw ended last night, with Jinder Mahal costing Roman Reigns a spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match, presumably setting up the feud of the summer. Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal, a feud that everybody, I know everybody, all of you at home, are gagging to see, aren't you? Oh, that's it for your WTF Moments from last night's WWE Raw. Thank you once again for being a loyal sexual wank pheasant. Can I say that? Who knows? Follow me on the Twitter machine at Ross on Wrestling. If you like what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Cultaholic. Anything you can afford to give is greatly appreciated and will be rejuvenated back into the company. But most importantly, don't forget to join us every form of social media apart from those arcade games from the 1980s. 2 people played on them at the same time, so they count.